Welcome back. Just fiddling with the audio stuff at the moment. Let's see if I can get the monitor working without having a crazy delay. Yeah. See how that goes. Yeah, that seems to be working pretty good today. Nice. Now I can actually see what I sound like. But yeah, okay, so where we're at now, first thing, like, we got everything all built up, ready to go to space. We have, well, last thing we did was mine a whole bunch of ice. Next, we'll have a quick look and we'll see how we went with that. We shouldn't have any ice or stone or anything like that on the ship. Because whilst we've been gone, the ship's still been running. Being a live server, the whole thing still goes ahead. We still have a little bit of stone here in the survival kit, but that's because the survival kit will be processing that quite slowly. If we have a look at the production in the survival kit, it will still probably be trying to make gravel. Or not. Maybe there's just not quite enough stone to finish that off. Anyway, we have most likely we've got quite a bit of iron there, quite a bit of nickel, quite a bit of silicon, or at least a reasonable amount. Have a look at our large cargo container, scroll down to that, we've got a very large amount. Now what we'll do is we'll chuck out this gravel here, we'll put on a conveyor sorter and a connection port to automatically chuck that out for us. We have, what was that, 9,000 kilos? No, 9,000 kilos of nickel, silicon there, 4K of silicon there. Okay, the other thing we want to check is have a look at our hydrogen tank levels. We've got 34%. That's not ideal, but that being said, that is still probably quite a lot of fuel. That'll probably be enough to get us into space. The only thing that might be a bit sketchy about that is we will definitely need to find ice when we're up there. If we don't, then we have a very big problem. But we should be able to find it. So, first step to going, that's right, chucking out the gravel. All right, so we'll just stick it on. We'll just chuck it up there for now. Yeah, we'll chuck it at the back. Just offer this little connector here, because it is not going to live here permanently. We want the conveyor sorter a little thing with the arrow, and we want to point the arrows in the direction that we want the stuff to go. So out that way. And we also want to get a connector port. Chuck it into this one here. So we'll go into the G menu and connector port here. Chuck that on there, and we will have to go and get some iron, no doubt. I mean, some steel plate. Let's get a little bit of that and chuck that on there. Now, what we're essentially doing on the small grid builds, you can just use an ejector. It's not super effective because it only chucks out a little bit at a time. Personally, I think that using this particular method, even with a small grid, gets rid of stuff you don't want faster. And what we'll end up doing is using this particular system to chuck out stone when we go mining ores specifically. The reason for that is, like, we want to try and maximize the production of stuff that we get out of it. Now, we'll go do this from the cockpit, and we'll change the settings on the sorter. Okay, so we select the conveyor sorter. What we want to do now is we want to create a whitelist, so only a certain thing will pass through the sorter. We want to pass gravel through that sorter, so we'll add that to the whitelist. And the other thing that we'll want to change is we'll want to drain all, so that means it'll collect from the entire piped system on the grid. It'll collect all the gravel and try to pass it through that. Now, the next thing that we want to do is go to the connector, and we want to throw out, or we can go collect all and throw out. And if we jump out of our seat, we're spitting out all the gravel that we don't want. That's going to make our vehicle significantly lighter as well. Like at the moment, it's a little difficult to see. I'll see if I can move. Hang on, I'll just go to the cockpit view. There we go. We're at 2.13 million kilos. And after we've chucked all the gravel out, hopefully that'll be a lot less. Because why carry that into space when we don't want it? I think that is our weight now. I think we have actually already expelled all the gravel. What I'll do also is put both of those into a group and put it on my taskbar so I can turn it on or off whenever I want to. Because we don't always need it on, but we will be able to use these two things later. So we'll just call that the let's say waste dump. We'll save that there. Then we can go into the G menu. We don't need these anymore, so we can go to groups. We've got our waste dump switch, so we toggle that on or off. Now that connector, it's on at the moment. If we hit number 6 and then we have a look, it's now off. So it's not using any power and it's not throwing anything out, but whenever it's on, it will collect up whatever we've put on the whitelist and try to throw it out the back. So as it is now, it's not going to do anything. But when we start, like, what we can do is when we start going for specific ores or anything like that, if we don't want to collect the stone as well, which at the moment we may still want to collect stone just to make it easier. But once we found like good supplies of all the other ores, processing the stone is just going to be a slower, less efficient method of actually acquiring materials. Now, I think what we'll do is we haven't got a pressurized environment for our engineer, so we're going to have to shut our helmet. But we will put a cockpit on once we get up to space and we start scouting around. First thing that we will really want to be looking for is an ice source in space. So we will get to doing that now. Like, the impatience is kind of gone, and like being stuck on the ground. I think we've been stuck on the ground too long. A couple of episodes we intended to start flying and we failed at it, so I think we're just gonna go straight to space. And we've turned off all of our other things, which is not ideal. We didn't take it off of the sleep mode that we had set, so our gyros are not running, so we'll toggle that. Now we can rotate. That was slightly concerning. Now we do have to get up quite high before we get out of the gravity well. If you have a look, you see that the gravity is falling fast, the P gravity. Just next to the taskbar, you've got the little circle with the direction of travel indicator. You've got A gravity, which is artificial gravity, and P gravity, which is planetary gravity. We want to get out of the P gravity. Now, the other thing to take into account is that we can only go 100 meters a second maximum in our ship. We can do 110 in a suit. Those are the speed limits of the game. So just blasting the thrusters, all we're doing is pushing against the speed limit and we're not actually accelerating. Now, you can set up a thrust limiting system, but it's a lot of fiddling around. Like, all I do is just thrust a little bit and then let it go. Something that we didn't do was put the big thrusters on the top or take off those wind turbines. That was also we probably jumped the gun a little bit going to space, but it's nothing that we can't fix. On what we do have the added bonus of is that we don't have our thrusters pushing against us. We have our inertial dampeners turned on at the moment. So if I rotate a little bit, I've got those side thrusters there trying to straighten us up to keep us going in whatever direction. Well, it's actually trying to stop us from going in any other direction. We don't want to have it slow us down at the moment. So we would want the thrusters that are in the direction of travel turned off. And what we would end up doing is once we get up high enough that we could just use the thrusters on the back there, is we turn off the forward thrusters so we don't have to do several different setups for specific things. We can just have a multi-purpose setup and just go. We'll see how long our momentum will carry us. See if we can, we're getting pretty close to being out of the gravity well now. We've only got a little bit to go. Now, we don't necessarily have to leave all the heavy armor blocks on. Like, now that lightning is not going to be a nightmare for us, we could take them down. But at the same time, they may offer some decent protection from impacts later on. I do seem to be prone to hitting stuff. So like when trying to mine an asteroid. And the other thing as well is the light armor doesn't offer much protection, not only against minor impacts, but also they do not stop bullets very well at all. Now, if we have a look, we've only got one other person on the server at the moment. I'm not expecting to end up in a battle, but you never know. So anyway, we'll try to kill all of our speed at the moment. Alright, we are stationary. What we'll also do is we'll kill our engines at the moment because we don't need, like, we used a very negligible amount of fuel to get up here. We are still at 33%. So I think that we've done quite well. That was a very easy orbit that we've done. And in fact, we can even head over to that station. I think that we will keep our distance for the time being. We'll get our top thrusters done. So that way we've got thrust in every direction, and that will make sure that we can control what we do. We don't have to stuff about with trying to make sure we're oriented in the correct direction or anything like that. We'll get rid of those wind turbines because they're not going to be of much use for us anymore. And we'll slowly, in fact, what we'll do is we'll slowly make our way over to that station. And whilst we're going over there, we will do a little bit of work to our ship. So just go a little bit of forward thrust. We'll turn off our front, it's number 4 for our front thrusters. So we'll turn them off. I usually have them set up in a different spot, and muscle memory did its thing. So we'll just go along at a slow speed. It's going to take us a little while to get there, but we've still got a few things to do before we do get there. So let's work on those. So we'll kill all of our engines. And yeah, we'll just putt along at a little under 20 meters a second. And let's go up and start cleaning up our ship. So we'll take down these first. And it's not wanting to let me go down there, lagging out for some odd reason. We are bumping into a couple of lag issues for some strange reason. That's why I couldn't just go down that walkway flying. Something else whilst in space, which is handy to remember. Not that it's really going to be a significant problem because we are not constantly fighting gravity, but I can just use my mag boots and I can walk around if I want to, as long as I don't come away from the surface. Also, we have our inertial dampeners set to auto, which means they're relative to the ship. So I don't have to constantly be fighting against the ship's direction of travel. That can mess you up a little bit. At the moment, it automatically defaults to the ship that you're on, like with the way that it's set. And for the way that we're playing the game at the moment, we want to leave it that way. Sometimes what you may want to do, if you do want to go and try and attack another ship or something of sort, and we just fell off. And I think we are in a gravity well again. So let's just jump back down because I fell down there. That was quite unusual. We may have snuck back into the gravity well. No, we are still good. That was just a little bit of a weird thing happen. Maybe I had a bit of momentum. Got shot down there. But anyway, take down the rest of the last thruster and we'll clear some of those blocks away that where we want to put our thruster. So over this, the top of this one here is where I think we'll put it. So we'll just clear ground down the block that I was standing on. So clear these ones out of the way. And we'll just plonk our thruster down on top. We'll do the same for the other side. And we'll get them placed and then get them built. And also, once they're built, not to forget to add them to the groups. So that way we can turn them on or off with the rest of the thrusters as we so need them. And also keeping an eye on our distance to our destination. We are 43 k's away, so we're still doing okay for time as far as that goes. We don't have to rush around and panic and try to make something happen. So let's place this. Do we have the parts for this? Yes, we do. So we'll chuck those two on there. Hopefully we've got enough parts on the build planner for them already, but we'll just add them anyway, because we may want to add more thrusters later on, but now at the moment we're burning very minimal hydrogen. Where all we're using the hydrogen for at the moment is for electricity. So that's not going to be a huge amount. We're not refining, well, we are assembling things now, but we're not refining anything. So we're not in a bad state. Like, yeah, it looks like we're pretty low on fuel as far as our max capacity goes, but we put a lot of hydrogen tanks on. We have 11 large hydrogen tanks. So that's 16.5 million litres of hydrogen we have as a potential fuel, which is a lot. We would be able to do a lot of flying around the moon or Titan, like resisting the gravity at ground level with that. We could do that for quite a period of time before we would be running into the point where we should think about, I think we need to go back to space and get more fuel. Like they do have the greatest specific impulse for mass, or actually the greatest specific impulse. Like they are the most powerful engines in the vanilla version of the game, and they're effective everywhere as well. So like atmospheric thrusters only work in the atmosphere up to a certain altitude. The ion thrusters work everywhere, but they're not super effective in an atmosphere. Like they're actually very inefficient in the atmosphere. So it just makes a lot more sense to run or focus on using the hydrogen engines, especially at this stage of the game. We are still very early on into the game. Like we may have been going at it for quite a time now. This stream has been running the whole time I've been since I started this scenario, and that's a relatively short amount of time for the amount that we've managed to get achieved. First few times I actually tried doing a scenario like this where I had a lot more stuff to learn in the process. It took me a lot longer. So it is, especially with the size of the amount of materials you can carry on your suit at any given time, it slows you down significantly. I can't build all of the parts in one go or something like that. We have got a very limited backpack size. So with that taken into account, and that's just the way that they did the settings on the server. And again, the reason why I actually enjoy playing on these servers is because it does provide a challenge. I don't want to have to weld all of these armor blocks up, because I can't carry that much material. These are all heavy armor blocks. They'll take an eternity to do with that. Like having to fly backwards and forwards, do 2 blocks, go and get more stuff, then weld 2 blocks, and do that for a long time. Now with the engines, we have quite a few of them, but it's not as tedious as having to just go and weld up steel, the heavy armor blocks. Even the light armor blocks, like the ones that are on the bottom there, we'll be able to zip them up in no time if we make a ship with a decent cargo capacity on it, which we might actually do a remote control ship for. We'll just jump in our cryopod briefly, recharge our suit. And also fill up with, well, hydrogen and oxygen. So the other thing, we seem to have gotten ourselves hurt, so we'll just max out all our stats. We don't really need to carry our hydrogen bottle around with us because we're not going to be using it that fast. That's the other good thing about making things in space. Although one problem that we do have, because we don't actually have any ice on the ship at the moment, what we'll have to do is set one of the tanks, the hydrogen tanks, to refill our bottles. So if we go control panel, we'll just pick the first one so we know where it is. We go auto refill, so that way it will go and collect our bottles that need refilling. Now see, our hydrogen generator, our H2O2 generator has taken it. We don't want that to do that. We want our hydrogen tank to take the bottle, and it has filled it up for us. So if we go to the control panel again, I'll have a look at the O2H2 generators, and we'll turn off auto refill bottles here because they need to have ice in them to actually be able to refill the bottles. So that will collect up empty bottles and keep them empty. Whereas our hydrogen tank, if it's got hydrogen in it, which it does, it will refill the bottles. So it'll automatically collect up our empty bottles and fill them up for us, which is what we want. Okay, now we are back in the planet, which is not ideal. Should have been paying a little bit more attention to what I was doing there. So we'll turn off our forward thrusters because now we have thrust in every direction, and we'll just use those. We very nearly ended up starting from scratch. So we'll check. In our cockpit we have the little altitude, or this thing. We'll just stick that at 90. And now we can just thrust forward without having any of the other thrusters going off, because I turned off the front ones. We must have gotten just inside the gravity well, and with our thrusters off, that caused us a little bit of grief. That was a very close call. I think I might swap the engines to something I'm more comfortable with, so that way I know that they're going to be turned on or off at the right time, and the right ones are going to be turned on or off. The drills, I'll put the engines in 1 and 2 rather than the drill and piston, because I engage the piston rather than engaging the engines. have an asteroid over there. It's the first one I've seen. There may have been other ones pop up, but there's a good chance that that one's still inside the gravity well, which we don't really want to try and mine something that is inside the gravity well. Mainly because we don't want to be constantly expending fuel to try and maneuver around an asteroid to get stuff out of it. But that being said, like, there will be a lot more spawn up as we get closer to them. And we are out of the planet's gravity well again. So I think we can head towards this one here, and we will check it out. Because if it does have ice, we'll reset our ejector, so that will throw out stone. And in fact, this may have other ores in it or something like that, which we may want. So just don't want to head directly towards it, just in case, like, we can't slow down fast enough. Fly near it, slow down to a more reasonable speed rather than as fast as we can. Like, we do want to get the materials that we're going to want to use for getting a jump drive up and going, and we want to get that done sooner rather than later. A better place to accumulate materials from would be Titan. I spoke about that a little bit before towards the end of the last stream. Titan is a much more easy place to quickly acquire materials from, but we should be able to find everything we want in space anyway. Mining gold is a pain in the ass on a planet, because you do pick up a lot of stone with it. But if you manage to find a good deposit of ice in space, yeah, you can mine a lot of it without picking up stone. And plus, like, we can use the ship to directly mine the asteroid and feed it straight into like the same as what we were doing with the ice previously, where except we'll just move the drills to the front of the ship and we'll just plunge in forwards. Makes for a much easier method of bulk collecting stone early on in the game. So we'll start slowing down. And we're going to take off the whole drill rig on the back now anyway. Like, we're not going to use it in the configuration that it's in. So moving the thrusters to positions, or like the toolbar spots 1 and 2, where I'm more comfortable with them being, that's not going to be a problem. So we'll just check that our ore detector's detecting ore. Yep, it's doing everything it's supposed to do. So we'll just fly around, have a quick look and see if there's anything worth collecting on this. Because if there's not, we'll just make our way over to that station and we'll have a look and see what they've got there. We may even pick up a weld ship or something like a constructor ship, rather than have to build one. So that way we can just put a connector on our ship and load it up with the stuff that we want to, or that we need for building. Like, we'll need steel plate and metal grids, which for the top part of the ship where it's all armored up, which we may even take down. The simple little constructor ship you can buy, like, if we have the money for it, which we probably don't at the moment, but in any case, like, we'll see if we can sell some raw materials or something like that, see what we've got that we can sell to get some space credits up. And it's looking like there's nothing notable on this asteroid at the moment. So we can move, I think we'll just go head towards the station. We'll go to that asteroid there because it's on the way. We do want to find some ice. We don't want to have to go back down to the planet there. Something else that we should do is add those top thrusters. What do we got? We'll go H2 thrusters, and there'll be 2 that aren't on there. We'll save that there, and we'll turn all of them off. And now we can just cruise. Well, actually, I think we will speed it up a little bit, and then turn that off. And the other thing that we'll probably look at doing is disassembling our drill rig on the back. We'll do that now whilst we are traveling over there, and try to keep an eye on how close we are. We don't want to hit anything on the way. Voxels do not get out of the way. They do get destroyed if you hit something with a fair bit of force, but they do not slow you down. They stop you, or they tear parts off of you. So if we were to hit even a small piece of voxel, it will tear a giant hole in this loosely wrapped wet tissue contraption we got going on at the moment. We will get destroyed. We may have something we can salvage out of that if all the parts don't go flying away, but it's something that we'd really just rather not have to deal with. Alright, that's the drill rig disassembled. Let's jump back in the seat. Oh, we'll dump everything first and then jump back in the seat. And we're getting a bit close to the asteroid. We will see if we can quickly change the groups. So we've got the H2 back, we'll stick that in number 2 instead. And all of the thrusters will stick in number 1. And that way I'm less likely to mess up. So because yeah, I didn't turn the thrusters on straight away. Instead, I tried to push the drill down when we were heading at the ground a lot faster than we would really like to if we were actually intending to. Now, the other thing that we're going to do whilst we're doing the Ore Scout is something we should probably look at doing soon, is stick a camera on the front of our ship. So that way we can scope out, the camera has a zoom function to it, so we can actually look at things that are a bit further away and see if there's any noticeable ore deposits that we can actually see. So that way we don't have to necessarily fly to the giant space rock, which, you know, it could be several kilometers away or it could be out of the way. But if you could spot we've got an ore deposit over this way. We have ice, so that's really, really good news. What we may even do is GPS this. Hopefully it's not in the middle of the rock. If it is, it's going to take us a little bit of time to get to it. We have to actually dig it out, but we can right click drill to get it out. No, it's on the surface down there. that's great news. That means that we can load up just with ice. So even though we're going to be heavy, we are going to be processing a lot of ice, generating a lot of fuel, which is great. Okay, so we'll jump out and we'll work out what we're going to do with the front of the ship for the drilling rig. Doesn't have to be anything super complicated, but we do want to have a bit of space away from the engines there. So what I think we'll do is, now that's in a little bit of an unfortunate spot, this tank. We might actually take this tank out and keep our refineries in the middle, but we will need to make sure that we have these connected up. So we may end up just running a pipe from here to here. If we take the middle one out, like, we can drain all the fuel out of it into other things, but that way we can put more refineries in there without having it go all on a weird shape or something like that, and try to keep everything together. It just makes it easier to manage later on, but at the moment I think what we'll do is we'll just extend a conveyor tube out from there, and we'll chuck a piston on it as well. So that way we can reach, or actually we'll just chuck the conveyor tubes on at the moment. So we won't worry about making the drill rig, or a tool rig is what it's eventually going to be used for. We won't worry about making it retractable. It is not letting me take stuff. That's odd. So we'll try and pick them up from somewhere else. Try these cargo containers, see if we can pick stuff up from there. No, we are not connected for some reason. We may have connected to the wrong thing. So, or something might be broken, which is possible. So anyway, let's connect. Oh, we can't connect anything. We need to go to a connected. How about this one? Can we pick stuff up from here? No. What is going on? Oh, it's probably because we disconnected the middle cargo container here, because that's where everything was connected before. Should have thought of that. So these are the things that can happen when reconfiguring a ship and not paying attention to what you're doing. So crisis averted. That would also have cut all the fuel from that tank being able to go through to other various parts of the ship. So alright. Now if we go up to the front tanks, we should be able to get everything out of that. Actually, we'll just try here where we first failed. Can we get the... Yes, we can get them. Not that we need to at the moment, but the option is available to us, which means we have resolved the issue that we had. So extend this out. Try not keep missing and making a mess. Clean those up because we don't want them clanging into something else. So I think we'll go out a little bit further. And we'll chuck all 5 drills on the front. In fact, I think we might... yeah, we'll just go in a line. It seems to work pretty good for me. So Where did we put out? There's our drills. We need steel plate. It's much easier to build stuff now. Like, we still have 80% of our hydrogen. And we've been flying around quite a bit. That's how much gravity sucks. Collect up everything we can for the things we've put on the build planner so far. Build this stuff up until we run out of material. And what I've found with the drills, the quicker way to do it, I don't know if I've said this before, I probably have. Do the middle drill first, and then you can pull the materials that you need for the subsequent drills from that one. Saves you a lot of time and stuffing around. Or more to the point, the backwards and forwards thing, like this. Still haven't quite got everything. Okay, and in fact what we can do is just attach ourselves with the mag boots, and we can just walk along. Select that, add that, and we can just quickly weld up the next drill. Saves us a lot of time and stuffing about, and that's mainly just the backwards and forwards flying. And we don't need to be as conservative with the hydrogen anymore, but we don't want to run out of hydrogen in our suit as we are now. So if you can take advantage of using your mag boots, like, do it, because it's one less thing to think about. Like, if your suit runs out, you float until you die. Unless you're playing with a buddy who can throw you a tank. Like, you won't be able to get back to refill your suit. If you run out of power in your suit, you'll start to freeze, and you'll have to get back and recharge your suit, but you can still fly if you've got hydrogen. Same if you run out of air. You start dying, but you're not doomed. Depending on how far away from the recharge spot, whether, yeah, survival kit, med bay, or even a cockpit. Okay, we have our drills set up now. Now what we're going to do with setting up the drills this time, we're going to do it a little bit differently. We're going to go to block tools, and we can stick it anywhere. But what that will do is select the tool for the ship, and that'll allow us to use the drills in the same way that we use the hand drill. So if we select the drill, it's selected. So now what we can do is, if I can actually get an angle on it where you can see, if I left click, it drills. If I right click, it right click drills the same way as what your hand drill does, where it just blasts material out of the way. Now, we don't have a very good view here. So what we might do also is stick a camera on the front. We might just stick it on the front of that hydrogen tank. So we'll jump out. So that way we can see what we're doing from like a fixed point. We're less likely to destroy our ship. So we'll just chuck a block on there. We don't need to chuck the block on, but it will just help me to find it later and remind me that I've stuck something else on there, and that's why I can't extend off the front or something. Makes things easier. Now, cameras we aren't going to place very often, so I'll stick that in the number 9 menu. Camera. The cameras have orientation. If you have a look here, you've got camera written at the top and you've got a dot down the bottom. That's more or less how it looks when you go to place it. But yeah, you want to make sure it's oriented in the correct way, and it's got a rail that goes around it at the top. That rail there, that needs to be at the top with the dot at the bottom. So chuck that onto the build planner. We're keeping the camera out of the way, so that way, like, we hopefully don't hit it on stuff and smash it. And what we'll do is equip the camera to, we don't need to finish that off, that's kind of unnecessary. Now, yeah, we go into our G menu and select our camera. We'll put that into number 3 now, and we go view. So if we hit 3, we go to the camera's view, and we've got a nice view of our drills there, and we can see exactly what they're doing. So we can bore straight in and collect the ice out, and we can plunge in reasonably deep, like hopefully not smashing our engines on the asteroid, but we'll go in as far as we can. Now this is with the left click drill. If we were to have a look over here and we go right click, we are just going to clear massive chunks of material out of the way. And it's good for if you've got a deposit that's a little bit deeper that you want to try and get down to, you'll use that rather than pick up all the stone that you don't necessarily want. And help dig your way down to deeper deposits or something of the sort. But we'll pick up as much of this ice as we can. Probably end up picking up a little bit of stone too, which is not going to, it's probably not going to be worth ejecting. But we'll add a GPS marker just in case we have to come back here. The voxels should refresh. So when we come back to this exact spot, there'll be the exact same ice pocket here again. So, and if we manage to find uranium, we're going to go and visit that spot quite a few times, and collect as much of that as we can. With the other materials, like, we don't need them as frequently, like we don't use them up, except for possibly magnesium, but that's like much easier to come by. But also the magnesium does go a lot further. Uranium, once we start going nuclear, we will end up going through quite a bit of it, and it is very slow to process. So we want to, like, if we manage to find that, we're going to be continually going back and trying to collect as much as we can and refining as much as we can, and get a good store built up of that. So at the moment we're running on ice, so we'll pick that up while we can. And that definitely takes the, like, that was the first major objective we needed to complete getting into space, is making sure that we can refuel our ship without having to fly back down to where we first started from and taking a massive step backwards. We don't have to do that now. We're starting to get a bit sluggish, so we might add some more gyros to our ship, like just as a note. It's really starting to feel heavy, maneuvering around, rotating and changing our pitch and yaw. So and I think that our engines are obstructing us from going in any further, so we'll just clear some of this crap off of the side, because we don't really want to pick up the stone and make ourselves heavy. Like, yeah, we can refine the stone, but we don't really need to at the moment. We'd rather find other things and focus on that. Like, we are still going to pick up a little bit of stone because we haven't set our sorted to throw out the stone yet, but we will do that at some stage. We'll just change the whitelist on it, so that way we can chuck that out when we have it turned on. And that way we can just plunge in. We don't have to be as careful about making sure that we're only pulling out the material that we want, rather than everything that is there. We'll have a quick look at the inventory and see what we've got. We have picked up a large amount of ice. In fact, I think we're full because the drills are full. So we got... Now, that was much more efficient than what we're doing on the surface. We are completely full of ice right now. So out of that small little asteroid there, it is, like I said, a far more efficient way to go about it. So we'll add a GPS marker to that. We'll call it space ice, or Pertram space ice. So we know that it's in space, it's near Pertram, and it's ice, because we're going to end up with a lot of GPS markers. And we want to be able to determine which ones are what, or what's nearby. Like if we're over near another planet and we come across something and we want to be able to find it later. We've left a block up there. Let's grind that down. Don't want to leave crap just floating about, because it does cost us PCU. And it will stay there until, well, it will eventually get deleted by the server, because it is an unpowered grid. But whilst we're here, we might as well. There is probably some other things that we've left lying around, so we might do a little bit of a grid cleanup. We'll look at doing that. So anyway, if we go into the info tab here, we'll find out what our ship's grid's called. Static grid 1026. If we leave the cockpit and we press the G menu, no it isn't, it's the K menu. We have a look at the info tab here, and we only have the one grid assigned to us, so we've left no built parts on the planet. That's good. It will also tell us how it's so far we've used almost 4,000 PCU, 3925 PCU, and that's on this particular ship. And if we press G, we can also see that down the bottom what we've got left is 16,084 out of 20,000 PCU, and it is creeping up fast. So we do want to try to be mindful of it, like at least on this particular server. Other servers have different PCU settings. This one, like 20, it was put up to 20,000. I think it was originally a lot less than that, like somewhere in the vicinity of 8,000, which I think would be very challenging. Anyway, let's fly over to this rock here. If we have a look at our camera again, we can zoom in on that rock and see, like, there's nothing notable on the surface that we can see initially. So we press F to get out of that. That rock's fairly close. The other thing that I've noticed is that you'll get a lot of the same thing in the same place. So if you come across an asteroid that has pockets of ice in it, the ones that are immediately next to it, like these smaller ones here, they're probably going to have ice in it, if anything, as well. I think we'll fly to these ones first. Let's turn off our forwards thrusters. In fact, we can turn off all of our thrusters. And we'll just cruise on over to the next lot of rocks. We'll have a quick look at those. Although they are really in a perpendicular direction to where we want to go, because if we want to have a look at that station. So yeah, we'll just crank our speed up. We'll go full tilt. And we are still making ice. Did we pick up? We didn't pick up that much stone, if any. Oh no, we did pick up a little bit of stone, which seems to not be able to get through to the refineries. So we might have to have a look at that and see what's going on there. But we didn't pick up a huge amount, so... You want to watch out for those little ones because they have a tendency to sneak up on you and tear you in half. Now looks like we do have an ore deposit there. We get up a little bit closer. This different coloured spot here is standing out quite a bit. So this might be something worth collecting. Or no, it looks like it's a giant hole. It is. So if there was something there, it looks like we're led to believe that someone's already bored a hole through it. I think that's a procedurally generated asteroid there. Oh, we've got iron ore down there. So we'll set a GPS mark for that. Don't necessarily need to pick it up at the moment, as we already have a lot of iron refined. So, but we will probably need a lot more later on, so we can come back to this. The other thing about why it might be a good idea to weld up the ship is we are very heavy at the moment with some parts, but a lot of iron. The blocks that we've already laid for the armor, they already take up the full mass of the block, whether or not they're completed, as far as I know. So we can reduce our mass by welding up the parts that we already have in effect, because it'll take them out of the storage and put them in the things that are already occupying that mass. So yeah, anyway, we want a GPS marker. So the reason why we're heading over to that station is if we can buy a constructor ship from there, that will make things a lot easier for us. We don't actually have to build one. Okay, we don't need... yeah, we can turn that GPS marker off because we can turn the Pertram ones off too. So that way our HUD is not going to be cluttered with a million different things. We can rename that. Because yeah, if we have a lot of things cluttering up the HUD, it can be very difficult to work out where you want to go later on. We also have silicon there, so I think we might add that onto the description on our GPS location. So if we go back to the one that we were at before, iron and silicon. Because we got both signals there, we may as well put them both up. We don't need either of those right now, so we'll leave them. Is there anything else? We have another iron rock over there just by itself. We have a look in our camera. Got that one there. But we can see that from this GPS marker, so if we come back here, it shouldn't be a problem to find if we really want to collect up to ore deposits worth of iron at a time, which we may do later on. We've got more iron there. This is what I was talking about before. And we can see there's the Earth-like world and the Earth moon, which actually looks a lot closer. Oh, there's Mars and Europa. And over there, it looks like... Actually, no, I think that one's Europa. I think that's... I can't remember which one's which. Oh, it could be one's Triton with a R. And where's the alien world? I haven't seen that one yet. But we want to go in the direction of the alien world. Although we could go down to the moon, it is pretty easy to pick up resources from the moon. It's a pretty popular place to go. So that's potentially a drawback. Let's head over, check out this rock here. If we can pick up a different kind of ore, that would be a bonus. But otherwise we will get underway back to heading towards that station. We've got silicon here. So that's inconsequential at the moment. We'll have a look at this one. Gold, silver and platinum, or predominantly gold and platinum, are going to be two of the key things for getting a jump drive going. It would take us an eternity to fly at 100 meters per second towards another planet at the moment and try to get there, or it's just going to take a long time. We are a long way from there. So yeah, we're going to want the stuff that we need for a jump drive, and those things are going to take quite a significant amount of time to produce, and we are burning through our hydrogen pretty quickly. So we might want to do some less stuffing about with our engines. Like, we may have a lot of ice, but the ice takes time to process. We may even put some more O2H2 generators on here so we can process the ice a little bit quicker. And yeah, we'll see what's going on with those we'll check to see whether or not we are processing the stone that we collected, because if those refineries aren't connected properly, that's going to cause us some significant grief, or we may have damaged the conveyor tubes whilst we were drilling. So that's something else that we should probably check. We haven't set it up in a particularly strong way. Just using the conveyor tubes, they break pretty easy when you're drilling. That looks like the alien planet there. So we'll just stop here for a sec, chuck on the camera. Now that little red planet there, that is going to be our destination for bulk collecting materials, and there is quite a few NPC bases around there as well, and it looks like we've got a server restart coming up soon. So what I might do is jump in the cryopod briefly, and well, yeah, actually we'll just get underway back towards the station that we're heading. Because we're not super far away, but we're not going to get there in 5 minutes. Was it someone in the game once told me that it takes 10 seconds to do a kilometer at 100 meters a second, which I haven't mathed out to double check, but it sounds like it could be right. I like to look at things in kilometers an hour because, like, I've had a driver's license for a long time. 360 kilometers an hour is 100 meters per second. So if we're going 100 meters a second, we'll cover 36 k's in 10 minutes. So actually, no, it's not 10 minutes. I just botched the maths. 6 minutes, I think. A tenth of an hour. I remember there was a April Fool's joke when I was a teenager, a long time ago, done on the radio. And this did in one of my friends' heads, this particular joke, because he didn't realise what the date was. Where they said that they were doing a conversion to metric time. In Australia, we use the metric system, and it works better for just about everything. It makes a lot of sense. I'm not trying to say that freedom units aren't awful, but like growing up with the metric system, I find the metric system works just fine until you have to use freedom units. So, and I've got nothing against Americans. I think that there's a lot of good things to have come from America, like we've got a lot of culture from there, but their system of measurements is a lot more complicated than it necessarily has to be. Like, we use decimal places for measuring small things, and small things are 100% interchangeable as an order of magnitude with big things. So a millimeter is directly relational to a kilometer. Like, I could work out how many millimeters we have to go by changing the order of magnitude rather than inches and miles, which buggered if I know how many inches are in a mile. And I'm not particularly interested in working it out. What I do know, though, is that there is, I think, 1,609 meters in a mile. The old method of conversion was to go from kilometers to mile or miles to kilometers. It's divide by 5 times by 8, or divide by 8 times by 5, depending on which way you want to go, which is still mathing it out, which is a pain. It can be done, but metric system works quite well if you grew up with it. If you have to convert between the two, which is a frequent thing in Australia because we have parts that come with imperial size or AF size tools rather than metric, or parts like nuts, like 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, etc. It's a nightmare. But the rest of the world, I think there's only the United States has it as their standard system, and I think that's it. I think they've gone to calling it the American system rather than the imperial system. and so that's something worth noting. But whilst the server resets, we're just going to cruise until it relogs, and I'm going to take a short break. Now, welcome back. We can see the safe zone just down there. And we are very heavy. Now, in the when you have your own safe zone, you can configure it that you can in a number of different ways, but we're not going to be able to do any welding or grinding or building inside this safe zone. There's also no shooting or any of that business. It's an NPC safe zone, so which is not a problem for us. We just have to be aware that that's the way it's set up. And also our landing gear will not lock onto the station or anything else inside that. So if we do purchase a ship from here, we are not going to be able to lock it to or land it on our big ship unless we are outside of the safe zone. So that's something else that I've noticed with this, that you'll have to take into account if you do try to purchase a ship and land it on your ship. But on the other plus side, you can't damage your ship inside the safe zone either. But these are popular locations. You can end up with other players sneaking on board your ship and attacking it from the inside whilst you are, like, as soon as you leave the safe zone, they will start hacking your ship. Like, I've had that happen before, where we had someone very sneaky try to take us down, just for the fun of taking us down. There are people that like to play that way, so like, even though you can't get damaged whilst in here, someone might be able to knock your ship out of the safe zone and dismantle it or do whatever they want to it, take control of it. That's also a possibility. Like, PvP piracy is a part of the game, so it's something that you'll have to take into account. But we are on a relatively quiet server. We have an artificial gravity here, so if we turn off our jetpack, we can just walk around as if we're in a normal gravity environment. So we'll see if we can find our way to the airlock, which I don't think it is down here. It's probably there. There we go. We have the airlock. And yeah, we can't get into those. But there are services that we can access on here. This is a neutral station. It's not ours, but we are allowed to. We can go to the store. What can we get from the store? So these are all the things we can purchase. We have 0 space credits at the moment. I think we collected some out of some unknown packages, but we can sell things. So what we might do is put a connector on our ship. We'll sell some cobalt ingots, and we can make up other bits and pieces, and we can make some space bucks that way. The other way that we can make money, like what we have to do with the space credits we collected is we have to deposit them in an ATM somewhere. This is the contracts thing. So here we've got an acquisition contract for 25 hydrogen bottles. Personally, I find these a bit of a pain in the ass to do, because you've got to put them all in the one place on your ship and get that out. There's probably an easy way to do it. I just haven't figured it out. They want to acquire nickel ore. Some of these can be very lucrative. Like, there's a hauling contract there, which we cannot travel that distance in 45 minutes. There's an acquisition contract for 244 large steel tubes. We may be able to complete that, and we'll get nearly 500,000 credits for that. This one here, we almost certainly have that many motors, and we'll get 848,000 for that one. So we might set our ship up so we can dock it to the station and sell all the parts and make some space bucks. And I don't think we could buy ships at this one. No, we couldn't. We had a wide range of other things, like we could buy an elite grinder, which is quite expensive. We got a varied assortment of rifles and whatnot here, which are not going to be super helpful for us. The ones marked in red here, they're on special at the moment, it seems. Railgun sabos, they're fetching quite a high price for. Not that we have all the materials we need to make them. Missiles are fetching a high price, but we need uranium to make those. If we were to sell missiles here, we'd make a lot of money. Medical components, we may be able to make those, so we could sell those for quite a lot of money. If we were to sell like 100 of those, we'd make 4 million credits. So if we were to sell all of that, we'd make 12 million credits there. So that would be good. And the space credits are used at any of the NPC stations. When we go to look at zone chips and stuff like that, we need a lot of space bucks to be able to maintain a safe zone. But we'll move our ship out and we'll stick a docking port on here somewhere. Not sure. And if we have a look at this as well, we see that this one's damaged, and that's why we are not transferring the material out of the drill. So we can't weld it up now. We have to leave the safe zone before we can actually do any repairs to the ship. So we'll just nudge ourselves to the outside of it. And think about where we want. Probably stick the docking port. If we go back to the state, or actually we'll quickly weld up that broken pipe. And we're going to have to look at a more durable solution for that. Yep, that's all green. If we have a look around the station, somewhere, there it is, there's the docking connector. Now we need to be able to actually fit to that docking connector without hitting all the stuff around the side. So what we might do is just have it so that we come off the back a little way. Straight out of here. In fact, what we'll do is we'll stick a couple more O2H2 generators on here. Just to get us a little further length out, and then what we'll do is stick our docking port straight on the middle there. So we'll get onto that now, and that way we can just back straight up to the docking port, and we can transfer materials straight over from our ship that we want to sell or complete missions with or whatever. Oriented the same way as what we did before. So we've got the light down so we can tell at a glance that we're doing what we want to with it. Collect up the parts we need, or as many as we can. And we'll go and sell some stuff and make some bucks, and we'll start scouting out some more asteroids. Okay, we've got all of them built up. We'll just chuck it. And also what we'll do is we'll put a camera on the back here to help us line up with the docking port. That's a quality of life thing there. It's going to make docking substantially easier. And we don't need to add a second camera to the menu bar either. We can cycle between multiple cameras, so that's also quite handy. So if we go into, we'll select our camera and we make sure it's up the right way. And we weld it up. Alright. We can cycle through the cameras using the square brackets keys. Once we select view camera from our menu. So we'll just jump back in our seat, control seat, and we'll get ourselves roughly positioned. We can do this without the camera. It just makes it a lot easier with the camera. The only thing you have to bear in mind is that we are reversing, so our controls are going to be back to front and be a little bit, take a little bit of getting used to. Now we got our forward camera, we got our backwards camera. Now up and down still going to be the same, but going left and right, we have to reverse our controls, as well as up and down I think might be reversed. I'm having a little bit of a dyslexics moment. Now we put the camera above the docking port, so that's something else we need to keep in mind. The reason why I'm going all skew if is because we are back to front with the controls. So I'm not the world's greatest using these things. It's not a mirrored camera. That would probably make it easier. I don't know if we can do that, but now when it goes all yellow like that, you can see when it starts to actually take effect. So what we can do now is, or we should have set this before, we go into the K menu. It should be called connected to. Actually, we need to go into the G menu, put connected to onto somewhere on the toolbar, and we'll go to switch lock. So that way, when we've got a yellow light there, it means that we can connect it up. And it says ready to lock. We press 4 and it's now locked on. We can turn our engines off. We're not going to be going anywhere, and we can jump out of our seat and go over to the station, and we'll go back into the store and do some trading. And we'll complete that mission with the steel tubes in the motors. Those are going to be worth a lot of space credits for us. The door's over there. So don't need our welder out at the moment. Now, even though we can't buy stuff here, we're not going to be able to get the stuff that or buy the ship that we want from here. There will be stations elsewhere where we may be able to do that. So let's see. We'll accept that. We go to accepted contracts. There's that one. We go finish from static grid, 1026, and we've just made ourselves a lot of money. So we go back into the contracts. I'm pretty sure that we have all of those motors as well. Oh, the large steel tubes, we had those, so we'll accept that. I think we had those. We don't have to complete it right now, but if we can, I tend to try to only accept the ones that I know that we can complete. So now we have made like quite a lot of space bucks there. Is there any other? See these smaller ones? Yeah, we can do them. That's a very negligible amount, but why not? And I just try to stay away from the bottles, because if you mess it up, you end up with a whole stack of extra bottles. It's a pain. So, accepted, finish from our static grid, confirm. Okay, now if we go back over to the store, we'll sell off all extra parts that we can. We may even look at making up a whole bunch of the medical components, because we do have, like, what we want to do is try to keep at least 15 of them, because we'd rather have a med bay. We did collect some silver earlier on, so these here are the big money makers. and that's a lot for a lot of money, but we do need a lot of like gold and platinum. I think I think it's predominantly gold for those, but we'll see if what we can sell. I think they wanted a lot of motors, so what we need to do here is go through and find where they are in our ship. There they are. Yes, we've got more than enough. We click on all, and we don't want to buy, we want to sell. Oh, that's right, we were going to sell the cobalt ingots and whatever else we could. So do we have our cobalt ingots in here? Nope. Do we still have them? There's nothing in that one. We've got silicon in that one. We made metal grids out of all of them. So we could recover the cobalt out of it. This is not a very good way to go through your inventory. I thought that we had some. No, we don't. The other thing that probably look at doing is try to keep everything in a cargo container that's easy to find stuff. So we don't have any gold. Don't have much of anything they're looking for. We do have some radio components, but we're probably going to end up wanting those anyway. But we can always make more, so we'll just sell them. We'll make a couple of thousand credits there. We can sell all of those. We don't need them all at the moment. So we made 76 grand there. What else? We don't have any solar cells. So the store's not as profitable as what I originally thought it was going to be. We could have made a fair amount of money on the cobalt, but we just don't have that stuff. Uranium ingots, we could have made, well, 760,000 credits there if we had some, but we don't. So as unfortunate as that is, we are still early on in the game. I haven't seen an ATM yet, so we can't deposit those space credits that we have on our ship. It's possibly outside somewhere. Most or all the stations have one somewhere, I think, but it's kind of beside the point. Now what we'll do is we will start checking out space rocks here and there and start seeing if we can find something worth mining for. If we check out our inventory again, we'll see that our drills are empty. That's good news. That means that everything that we did to fix it worked. We'll shift everything into one of the central, like all the components into one of the, like a single container. Just tidy up a little bit so that way we can keep track of stuff a bit better. So yeah, move all this stuff across. Leave the ice in there. What we just want to keep all of our ingots, and we do have cobalt that was in our refinery, so we can go and sell that, but we'll shift everything across first. So that way, yeah, we can find it when we want it. So everything else is empty except for wherever the ice is. And we did move some ice over to one of the other ones. We'll just chuck that in there. Put this lot of space credits in there as well. We do have detector components, so we can go and sell all of those things. We are still locked, so let's just go back and quickly do that. We'll sell the cobalt, we'll sell the detector components. Just make a few quick bucks. Go off the back of the ship. Got myself lost. There we go. And just make as much as we can whilst we're here. So go back into sell, cobalt ingots, and yeah, go to our large cargo container, click all. So there's another 250,000 credits we've just made. We'll sell all that we can, which is 10, so we'll get 26. Power cells, it looks like it's refreshed, so we'll sell all those off as well. And I think that's all we can sell at the moment. Do we have any silver? It doesn't look like it. We'll tidy up the inventory. We'll disassemble all the lesser tools, or we'll disassemble the basic tools, like clear them out. We'll leave these tools here just in case we die or something silly happens to us. But yeah, we'll just try to keep it a little bit tidier, so that way we can keep track of what we're doing, because that can be very difficult later on when the ship gets a lot bigger. We'll just keep it relatively arranged. We don't have to go full OCD on it or anything like that. Like, it's not necessary. Well, for some people it is, but okay, we'll turn our engines back on. We'll unlock from here. Oops, that was not unlock. That one is. And yeah, we'll start checking out some more rocks. Let's see what we can find. We've got some that are nearby, so we'll just head over to those. And yeah, like you can also see that our fuel is increasing faster since we put on those extra O2H2 gens. It's good news. And we'll also look at modifying the ship a little bit. Rather than have this big long mosquito nose coming off the front of it, we'll build sort of like a crew area on the front, have a pressurized sort of area, and we'll put our med bay in that, put our like flight seat in there. Like, we'll leave that other one there as sort of like a backup just in case something goes wrong, but we'll put our primary seat up the front there and order that a little bit better. A little bit of fiddling around, like to try and get block placement right. We'll get a decent cockpit sort of thing going on, but make something that's a little bit more accommodating for us. Rather than just sitting, like we're sitting in a vacuum at the moment, like a freezing vacuum. So yeah, if we were to log off right now, we would die from like exposure after our suit, like because our suit still use up oxygen, still use up, well, where power's getting replenished, but the oxygen will run out, because this, like, yeah, the seat does not provide oxygen for you. If you're in a cockpit, like if we were to put a cockpit on, just a standalone one, we can use that to resupply us with oxygen, but we'll build our own, I think. more of a purpose-built kind of thing. And also the other thing that we'll look at doing is rearranging or reconnecting those cargo connectors in a different way. We'll take out that middle hydrogen tank. We'll pump all the gas out of it first, and we'll put in a couple more refineries. So we'll extend the refineries up there. So we'll be running 4 refineries, so we can process stuff much quicker. Like at the moment, we've got the speed modules on there because we haven't managed to find any stuff that we need for the other components for it. But when we do find those things, we're going to want to be able to process them quite quickly. Let's have a look and see who's on. I think there was only one other person. Yeah, still. I'll just scout around here. That looks like something. Oh, maybe it's not. Something else that we might put on is some lights, so that way we can better illuminate what we're doing when we go to plunge our drill in. We can see a bit better. Don't have nasty incidents. Oh, there's something. So we'll switch over to our camera. That looks like it could be nickel or a silicon. Oh, it's silver. That's definitely a bonus. So we'll mark this up on our GPS. That's good news. So we will dig out as much of this as we can. Let's have a look at aim. Like, we had emptied quite a bit of our inventory. Like, we've processed a lot of that ice. Or also, I don't think we filled up completely because our drills got jammed up. But we'll have a look in our cargo containers. I'm pretty sure we have got quite a bit of space, so we can drill to our heart's content here. Once we've filled up our cargo containers again, we'll get underway and start looking for a different ore deposit that we don't have already. So we're going to be able to smash out the medical components with this. We will want to find a good supply of cobalt in space. So that way we can weld up all of those heavy armor blocks that we put down earlier on. Yeah, we're going to need a lot of cobalt for that. And if we can't find a station that we haven't found a station yet that sells ships, we may just end up building a small thing. And I was thinking of perhaps just using a remote control. We might build a cockpit first, and we'll just build that out of light armor blocks to start with. Just to make it less time intensive. It will last okay. In fact, we can just change all the armor blocks that we have around the place to light armor blocks. They'll do enough to protect us from minor impacts, but if we get shot at, we're not going to have fun with that. So it's a little bit of a trade-off. There's less weight involved, so it might be just a simpler way to go. We can strip down all the heavy armor blocks. We don't have to worry about lightning anymore. Well, not at the moment. And even if we do get hit by lightning later on with the light armor blocks, it's just going to be keeping on top of making sure that we repair any damage that has been done. The heavy armor blocks will still take damage from lightning strikes, but they may not get they may not go away with one strike. I'm not sure. I haven't tested it, but that would be my theory behind it, at least. But yeah, they're very resource intensive. They take up a huge mass, so we'll make ourselves significantly lighter if we changed all those ones on the top. So I think we might do that, or we could even just take them away completely. It's unnecessary at the moment. Like, we're not running the risk of going into battle, but that being said, we do want to make sure that we don't damage our tanks or our conveyor tubes or any of the other parts. Want to check the state of those conveyor tubes, because that seems to be a pretty... Yeah, no, we still got green lights there, so it seems to be a weak point. We'll go back into our camera. Something that might be worth checking is see how we're going with loading up our containers. We have collected a very large amount of silver, like comparative to what we can carry at the moment, at least anyway. But like I said, yeah, this is a much more efficient way than trying to mine on the surface of a planet. Like, the struggle against gravity is very, very real. We're using bugger all fuel, bugger all resources to get a lot of materials collected up. And I think we might add those gyros that we were talking about sooner rather than later, because we are getting quite heavy. If we have a look at our mass, we're fast approaching 4 million kilos, and it's getting very hard to maneuver the ship with what we've got so far. So I think they may be the first things that we chuck on, because we can chuck them on pretty quick. We should have enough stuff, like enough resources handy to easily be able to make those up. So yeah, we'll set the cruise for the next asteroid that we want to go and prospect. And I think that's all I'm going to be able to reach easily. So we'll just back out of there. Point ourselves in the direction of the next one that we want to go and check out. Because chances are all we're going to find around here is more silver. So we may as well head to the next bunch of space rocks and see what we find over there. So we'll turn off our forward thruster, and we'll just move along a little bit slower. Like, we don't need to go full tilt because we are going to go and do some work on our ship. Now let's go and have a look at and consider placement for more gyros. Can chuck one on there. That's going to be fairly out of the way, and we'll do the same on the other side. So chuck that there. Chuck that there. We'll chuck them on the back of this container as well. So chuck two more on there, and we'll chuck one there. So we'll do the same over this side. Keep a little bit of symmetry going on. And weld it up. We may need to want to chuck more hydrogen engines on, just to maintain our power levels. The other thing that we'll do whilst we're waiting to travel, like, there's a couple of good reasons to travel slowly. One is you don't burn up a whole mountain of fuel when you're slowing down and whatnot, as well as accelerating up to whatever speed. So it is a little bit more economical to go slower. but we've also got some things to do whilst we're waiting. So at the moment, we do have to make sure that we don't run out of fuel, because it's not incredibly abundant at the moment. I think we're running out of steel plates. So what we'll do now is we'll do something a little bit crazier. We'll go into our production menu and we will stick on an enormous amount of steel plates if we can. Yep, it is adding stacks on, so we've got mountains of steel plates there on production, like 12,000. So, and they are coming out at quite a speed. The gyros take up a lot of steel plate. Okay, I think we'll leave the other ones for the time being. Let's have a look at... Okay, if we grind away that container's not going to go anywhere if we remove this tank. But this one may. Hang on. That one's going to stay put. Now the only place that you connect these cargo containers to attach them is from that port there. By this block here does not hold the cargo container in place, and I've lost them that way before. So that's something to be mindful of, but we can just grind that out. It's not held super well in place, but the other thing that we need to take into account is that we need to have that piped up somewhere. So if we just pipe it up to this container here, that'll do the job we want it to. We can use cargo containers, but I think the pipes will look cooler, so I think we'll go with the cooler looking option at the moment, even though we may want to change them later on. Don't have to always be purely economical with PCU, but at the same time, these are the things that will cause us grief later. Like, if we start hitting the limit, which is possible, like it's very easy to build something that is very not economical as far as PCU goes. So those three conveyor tubes there cost, well, each one costs 10 PCU. The cargo container, the large one costs 10, small one costs 10. So where you can, try to put down large cargo containers and put them down in a way that you don't have to do a mess of pipes like this, even though it does have an industrial sort of look to it. Like if I wanted to really make it look cooler, I'd use the heavy industry conveyor tubes. They look like metal pipes, but I have to equip them differently on the thing, and at the moment we're just trying to keep everything simple, so we'll just use the basic stuff at the moment. because otherwise we're going to run out of stuff on the toolbar as well, or room on the toolbar. But now what we can do is we can drain this tank. We'll set all our other tanks except for this one to stockpile, and it'll suck everything out of that. We're going to lose our camera spot, but that's no big deal. And then we'll chuck a couple more refineries on here with speed modules attached, and it'll extend out to the same length as this this block here. So and also keep an eye on where we are. We've just passed a whole bunch of rocks, so in fact what we'll do first is we will turn around and go and scout them out, because you never know what we're going to find there. Okay, that rock's not too far away. We'll turn all our thrusters on, but we got a nice big chunk of asteroids over there. Let's have a look at our camera, see if there's any ore patches at a glance. We're going to fly over there anyway, but give us a little bit better guess of direction. Turn off our forward engine. We just creep up to it. Now the other thing we can do, like we're probably not going to head back to that station. We can roughly head in the direction that we want to go. We're going to be traveling very slowly. But we are still going to roughly be traveling in the direction we want to go. If we start looking at asteroids off in the direction that, like, you know, we pick a direction to go, like we want to go to Titan, or actually we may even stop past the Earth Moon first. We can pick up stuff from asteroids as we go. We'll just check to make sure that we still have a large stack of ice. So we will still be making some ground. My oxygen is running quite low. In my suit. But I want to get those refineries put down first, so that way I've got a better idea of the length that we're going to go before we start putting down our proper cockpit stuff. Like, we've picked up a lot of silver. It's going to take a while to refine that, so this asteroid is looking like it might be a bit of a bust. I mean, we got stone, but it's not what we're chasing. I might change out these hydrogen thrusters for the standard ones, because I think they're a little bit lower profile as well. The industrial ones, like, I didn't mean to select, they stick out a long way. Don't really want that. But yeah, we'll head over in this direction and just jump out, go over to the survival kit and charge up the suit. There we go. Now we can breathe easier. Let's bust out our camera. Can't see anything notable there. That one could be entirely ice. Possible. Guaranteed, no, but it's not impossible. If it is entirely ice, yeah, we'll chuck on a stack of cargo containers and fill those up a lot. And that way we definitely don't have to worry about running out of ice for quite a time. And yeah, we can just get to slowly plodding along to the next place we want to go and checking out the asteroids on the way. But yeah, we'll travel along at 100 meters a second without having to worry about running out of fuel. Although if we do manage to stumble across gold, platinum and uranium, then obviously we are going to start look at manufacturing a jump drive and try to keep the plans a little bit fluid. Like, we don't have to hinge everything on one particular set of circumstances. This looks like it could be something interesting. But no, it's not. Oh, we got cobalt here. Unfortunately, it's quite deep. We'll have to dig out a lot to get into that. So we'll scout around this rock and see if there's any surface deposits that are easier to get to. But failing that, we can dig our way in. We just have to dig a hole that we can actually fit into. So it can be quite a challenge. But if we can get like a couple 100,000 kilos of cobalt on board as well, then that can process away whilst we're traveling along. That will be very handy. And yeah, one more less thing that we have to really stress about. And it's looking like we're not going to find the easy cobalt deposit. So whether or not we want to try and dig that out is a debatable thing. We do have a very high risk of smashing the drills in the process of it. Like, we can try. 150 meters is a long way to go. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's definitely presents a bunch of challenges. Do we really want to face those challenges right now? And I'm thinking probably not. But we can go and check out that other interesting rock that we saw that could be ice if we can find it, which is probably not. What's that one? We'll check out some of the other rocks nearby. Have a look at this one. And it looks like we're sort of heading back to Bertram. Just meandering around. So yeah, I think after, might have a look at this one, have a look at the other one just over there, and then actually start heading with intention in the direction that we want to go. We will come across ice and other things as we travel through, so we'll just have to capitalize on what we find when we find it. If it's going to be too much stuffing around, like, just skip over it. Like that cobalt there, it's going to be a struggle to try and get it. So we will come across easier deposits later on. This one looks like a big bag of nothing. Oh, maybe. What's that there? That looks like something. Let's head over to that. We are burning up a lot of fuel with all these maneuvers as well. So yeah, I think we will pick our direction and we'll get underway and stop at the things that come nearby, because we do need to replenish the ice that we have. Replenish the hydrogen that we have. We got more silver. Do we really want to? We don't really need to pick up any more. But what we might do is, there's iron here as well. Might be worth picking up some of that. If it's easy. And it doesn't look like it is. So let's head towards. We'll head towards the Earth light world. Is it this one? Nope, it's not that one. It's Mars, that one there. So we're just going to do 100 meters a second burn in that direction, and we'll start reconfiguring the ship. And we'll shut our engines down. So we're not burning any hydrogen at the moment to maintain it. We're just coasting along at the moment at max speed. We do need to keep an eye out ahead to make sure we're not going to hit anything, but yeah, we'll start reconfiguring the ship. So we want to drain that hydrogen tank. I found that it's easier to do it from the tank itself. So this tank here, we'll select all the other tanks, stick them to stockpile. Then we have a look at this one, it's draining out. That's what we want. We connected up those other two cargo containers earlier on, so we can pull this out and it's not going to cause a pipe issue for us. But what will happen is we need to make sure that we take our tanks off of stockpile once we've done pulling this apart. Otherwise, we're not going to have any power for our engines. Or any fuel, I should say. So dump all that stuff in there. If we drop any parts, they are going to stop in space and they'll slam into whatever's behind there. It'll make a racket. I don't think it breaks anything, but anyway. So what do we want? We want a refinery. Where did I put them? I think it was number 2. No. Is it 4? No. It's in the number 5 menu. Okay, so there's our refinery. Place 1. We'll have to pull up the drills. Let's chuck 2 on there. What we'll do is we will add both these to the build planner and start assembling all the parts that we need for it, just to make it a little bit quicker. We'll tear the drills down because yeah, we'll redo them. And we'll put another 2 refineries underneath those 2. So we're just extending. Oh, there goes a piece of steel plate. And I should just stand on the top here like this. Now, the reason why we're not going flying off into the back of the ship or off the back of the ship is because our dampeners are set to auto, which is relative to our ship. But if we were to accidentally press the Z key, we're going to have a very bad time. So that's something that is worth being very careful of. I've died many times from accidentally pressing the Z key. and we were standing on that at the time. Okay, add a couple more refineries in. Need steel plate because, of course. Okay. Now if we go into, we just order, like we've already got 2 refineries on there, so we just add them again to production. But we should, yep, very easily be able to weld this up quite quickly. Now the other thing, if we can find platinum, is we can get the better tools. And it will make it a little bit faster than what we're at now. The reason why we want so many refineries is because we want to try and get through as much of the ore processing as we can, as quickly as we can. We don't really want to be waiting around for it, especially when it comes to making the components for our jump drive and nuclear reactor. Yeah, we need for the nuclear reactor we need 2,000 reactor components, and they take a lot of gold, and it takes a long time to process the gold. In fact, like if we find gold, we'll leave the speed modules on to process the gold to get through it quicker, rather than putting the yield modules on, because yeah, it takes an eternity. So our build plan is empty, you add this to it. And we're waiting for steel plates. Can get to it there, can I? Yes. And yep, we're done. Okay. Now we're going to be able to get through a lot more stuff quite quick. We want to make sure that we are not going to die. And yeah, I think we'll pull off those heavy armor plates on the top. Just because they're really heavy. We don't need that much protection, so we'll swap them all out. Oh, actually thinking about it, no, that's just going to be a pain. We'll just leave them there. But yeah, we won't weld them up. Once we've figured out a bit better what we're going to do, like we will set up our cockpit sort of situation. We'll chuck the speed modules on as well, because why not? Where do we leave those? think they were... There we go. Number 3. So we'll chuck all of these on. And it would work a lot better if we chuck them on easier. Not make things stupidly hard. Chuck them on like that. So we got 16 of those things. So we'll go into the blueprint on the production, and we'll just go for 20 because it's easier. And we've added 20. So yeah, we'll try and weld those up now. And maybe add some more O2H2 gens. Although adding more is going to be more power draw. We haven't found any more ice yet. But, you know, I'm not super stressed about it. Build plan is empty, that's what's going on. So... we got a lot of silver there to process. That's not super quick to process, so... okay, it says we got everything. Alright. Grab as much as we can, weld it up, fill it up. And I think we'll have a quick look around for... oh, there's an asteroid. I think we'll go over there. Have a look, see what's going on with it. We might want to move our ore detector as well, move it close to where we intend to be running the drills from. Getting a little bit lost. Where's our seat? There we go. So, turn our thrusters back on. We'll go check out this group of rocks over here. Oh, we've still got all of our tanks on stockpile, so turn that stockpile off. I was talking about that earlier. Let's see if we can zoom in on that. Oh, we've taken our camera down. So yeah, we're just going to have to fly over to it. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, just having a quick look around the ship to see if we can get some ideas about how we want to lay everything out. Probably continue the cargo containers up along that bit there. We just make it like a big triangle type shape. Go narrower at the front. And not like, probably try to keep the front part with the cockpit and stuff like that. 5 blocks. Ooh, I see some green over here. Greeny blue sort of colour. That's definitely worth a look. That could be magnesium or that could be cobalt. Either way, that could be good. Let's check our inventory quickly. See how much of the silver. Yeah, we've still got an enormous amount of silver in there. So if we have a look at our refineries, they are all full of silver. But yeah, that's definitely something we want to collect there. Whether it's magnesium or cobalt, it doesn't really matter. Like, we can get a good store of it all built up. And whilst we are offline, our ship will process away. We will need to keep our eyes open for more ice as well. Yeah, I think we're definitely going to have to move that ore detector to the front. The ship's getting quite long. And yeah, we're not. Yep, cobalt. Excellent. Alright, so we'll chuck the drills on front of the refinery there. And a camera as well. And also we'll move the ore detector up the front. So jump out, we'll grind down the ore detector and take that with us. Or the parts with us. So we don't need it up the back anymore where the drills were. We want it where the drills are. So chuck that. Where did we put the ore detector? Another 6. So just chuck it there. We'll stick a block, just an ordinary block there. And our camera 3. Get the camera facing the correct way up because it will almost never do it by default. And get all of those things welded up. So that's that. There's our camera. And we'll weld that block up as well just to make it a little bit more secure. And out of the middle we will run our... Actually, should we do the middle or the bottom? I think we'll do it out of the middle. We'll run our drills out of there. So let's go for the reinforced tubes this time. See if they last a little bit longer. And now, because we've extended quite a bit further out the front, we don't have to go overboard with making that a super long tube. Chuck drills on here. I've already put 5 on. Alright, and now we start welding this stuff up. Now we won't need to re-equip the drills this time because we've got them as the block tool thing and it automatically selects all the drills for us. So when we're moving around like this, it's a much easier way of doing it. When we had them as static, we don't want to have to keep our finger on the mouse button to keep it drilling. That's why we kept reassigning them to start with. Whereas this way, it seems a lot more Like, it's a lot more of an easier way to go about it. Did we run out of steel plate? We're still making it. We seem to be running a little bit low of it. We have made a fair few things, like mainly those refineries, they use a lot of steel plate. The other thing that we were in the process of welding up was these things when we thought, oh, we'll stop and have a look. Anyway, let's clean out our build planner for now. That one's done. Okay, let's have a look and see where the computers are. I'll move them forward a little bit. Move them up as well. So we're going to need all of these for our drill. We just chuck all of those up there like that. Save us a little bit of a headache, hopefully. Because I don't want to wait for something to do or something to process. If we can keep doing something whilst we're doing something else, or you know, we've got things building whilst we're or like parts assembling whilst we're scouting around or mining or what have you, it makes a bit better efficient use of the time. Not that we're going for a speed run or anything, but it makes it feel a little less like repetitive or monotonous, so to say. I think we'll add a couple more cargo containers on whilst we're at it, because we should be able to add them on fairly easily. If we have the interior plates, yes, we have some. So we'll place these and then add them to the production queue as well. We may not be able to fully assemble them yet, but we can start mining. We'll fill up the storage tanks that we've got, the cargo containers. We'll chuck them on the build planner as well. The interior plates are going to slow us down a bit, I think. Unless they were... Oh no, I think we're good with those. Yep. Metal grids. Yep. Inventory is full. That's why I'm struggling a little bit there. And our battery's getting low again. What I'll do is I'll just quickly fill up the oxygen tank at the survival kit and then jump back in the seat and we'll start drilling. Because I don't want to have to sit there and wait at the survival kit for the damn thing to charge. We're upside down. Make this like a little bit less of a rat's maze. Yeah, fill up our O2 tank. Jump in our seat. Our seat will recharge us. So now we want to re-equip that camera to our toolbar. So it's probably camera 3 because it's the third camera we've made. So press 3 and yep, there we go. We've got our drill camera. We could rename it, but we're probably going to move it several times, so there's no point in getting overly stressed about it at the moment. As long as we can find it at the moment, we will be fine. And because it's the most recent camera that we've placed, there's a good chance it's going to be the camera with the highest number. So there's a method to the madness. We've been sat here for a little while. We've got our fuel increasing. And now that we're fiddling about with the thrusters and stuff, we're going to start burning through the fuel. Like the maneuvering and whatnot. We are picking up stone as well, but that's alright. We'll just process it for the meantime until we go and pick up some of the other ores. But we don't have a shortage of the other materials at the moment. So, again, not overly stressed. Ice is the only real thing that does create a little bit of stress. I mean, I don't want to have to turn back to Pertram, and fly back to that ice asteroid that we found there. That would be catastrophic. Now, I'm thinking that there might be a cobalt deposit a little deeper in there. That's why oh no, maybe not. I think we've got all of that little spot of it, but there might be some more floating around the rock. So let's just have a quick scout around the outside of it. We've still left a little bit there, so we'll go back in. It's not a huge amount, but it's not nothing, so just grab that. We are picking up a lot of extra stone when we do this, when we go for this much, like making sure we grab every last tiny piece. So and hopefully we will find another deposit around here somewhere. But yeah, because we're going to keep moving forward towards the Earth-like planet, I think that was the one that we just came from, wasn't it? Like, I'm not going to bother bookmarking it or GPSing it. Yeah, that was the one that we just pulled out. So we'll have a look at the other side of these rocks, then we'll move over to the next rock, have a look and see what's there. It literally is prospecting though. You just fly around until you find something that you want. But once you do find something that you want to keep going back for, like uranium for example, and ice as well, like if we run out of ice, we might want to just do a burn in the direction of the ice, and we'll just have to wait it out, and when we get there, fill up our ice or our cargo tanks with ice again. I want to try to avoid that. That looks like it might be something. Maybe not. We'll take a slightly closer look. So it could be... Nah. It was just a weird graphics glitch thing going on. Alright, let's go have a look at somewhere else. How much did we get? So yeah, we got a fair amount of cobalt, and we also picked up a lot of stone, so that'll process through. We'll chuck all of our components back into the same container. We'll keep our ores and stuff in this one. So That way, if we do come across another station, we can just... oh, we got plenty of steel again. Steel plate. It just makes it easier for us to be able to sell everything, basically. We only have to go looking in the one container rather than across several. But yeah, okay, we've got a good amount of cobalt there. We don't have to worry about that for a while. We don't want to head that way. We want to head this way. So let's hit up that rock over there. That one looks like it could be ice, but it may change. It's got that icy sort of look to it. If it is, yeah, definitely add on some more cargo containers and fill right up with ice. We're going to be heavy as all hell, but we don't have to worry about running out of fuel for quite some time. And hopefully by the time like that does start to become a bit of an issue, like we'll GPS this if it is an ice asteroid, and hopefully by the time it does become a problem, we'll be able to just hyperspace jump back, and we'll be able to jump all over the system then, like in a much shorter amount of time at least anyway, depending on how heavy we are by that stage. At the moment, yeah, we still don't have the resources we need to even build the jump drives, but I think we'll make them before we build the nuclear reactor. Unless, of course, we do come across some uranium. If we come across all the different ores, we'll stop for a bit, like stop traveling in that direction. We'll process as much uranium as we can, and we'll go between all the rarer deposits. Probably end up chucking on a few more refineries as well, maybe a few more assemblers, and really pump out the parts quickly that we need for getting all the rest of those things up. So we're going to end up with a very, very big ship. But at the same time, it's, yeah, we are making progress with what we're doing so far. We are heading in or we're managing to travel in a direction. This does look like it might be ice. Good. Oh, maybe. It might change, or it might turn. No, it looks like it's stone. What a disappointment. Well, so far. Let's slow down a bit. That looks like it might be something. Lights. I spoke about lights before, and yet didn't do it. Is this something, or is this just a weird shadowy part? I think it's... Oh, there we go. I saw some ice. So we're gonna scoop that up for certain. And there will possibly be more here, so we'll have a good hunt around here and grab up a good chunk of it. Now, because we added those other 2 refineries on, we're going to be using a lot more power. So our hydrogen engine's going to be working like full on. We will probably chuck some more on. Like, the problem with the hydrogen engines, like, they're great for starting out, but once you've got stacks of them, yeah, it becomes a bit of a struggle. But, you know, in lieu of having nuclear reactors, what can you do? We just need to make sure that we can produce enough hydrogen to run them. So, somebody once told me you need 2 O2H2 gens per hydrogen engine, but I think that might have been for small grid stuff. I'm not certain. But yeah, like, you want to try and make sure you're always producing hydrogen rather than running at a net negative. Especially when it's your main power source. We haven't got any solar cells up, which we could do, but they're going to take up a lot of space. We're going to have to work around them a lot. And the amount of power that we get out of them is negligible. So if we've got ice, then and we can make sure that we've always got a good store of ice if we stay on top of it, then we don't really have to worry about faffing about with that. But yeah, I mean, you think about where we started from. We were solely reliant on wind power to start with no jetpack. And look at us now. We're cruising through space, drilling space rocks, picking up hundreds of times the amount of stuff in one go. Maybe even thousands of times of the material. And yeah, we achieved the main goal, which was to get off the rock and get off world and get mobile. We've done that well. And it's time to set the new goal of let's go to a different planet. Like Titan might be a bit far away to start with, but it is going to be our ultimate location if we want to get a good supply of zone chips. Like, if this server is the same as the other one, there's going to be a lot of, what is it, I think 4 NPC stations on in space near Titan, and there's one that I know of somewhere. Like, I don't have a GPS on this particular server for it, but yeah, they're fairly easy to find, so we'll go looking around there. We may come across other players' bases as well. That would be something interesting to go and check out and see what other people build. Like, if we want to take this down to the surface of a planet like this particular ship, we're going to have to probably give it a little bit more down thrust if we really get the weight up. Like, right now we're pushing 6 million kilos, which is mostly ice, stone, and other various ores. But that was the intention. I think we might be full. Let's check. I think we are. Okay, I think we might need to put more cargo containers on, or make sure that we haven't damaged our... Yeah, we must have damaged our thing. So let's go check to make sure that our conveyor tubes are not stuffed. No, something's broken. That one. And we're working again. Might add some reinforcement to that later. But yeah, we'll finish drilling the ice and start hunting around for other. Actually, we'll grab some more oxygen. Yeah, there we go. We'll go back into our camera, scoop up the rest of this ice. I noticed that the weight wasn't increasing of the ship. Probably should have put those conveyor tubes up the other way so I could see whether or not the lights were green. Yeah, more O2H2 gens I think are definitely going to be necessary, but we are probably also running into power limits as well. We'll have to check the batteries and see how they're going. If the batteries are not charging, we're going to have to put more hydrogen engines on. So that's how we determine whether or not we've got enough of whatever we need. Like, have a look and see if the batteries are charging. If they're not, we need more generators. And we can always use more gas production stuff. So at this stage, later on we can strip it back a bit. Like, we may even chuck some ion thrusters on for maneuvering around in space like this. But I'm not going to do that until we get a nuclear reactor, because we won't have the electricity stores for that. So we'll check our inventory again, make sure our drills aren't all jammed up, and no, we're still running good. So we'll have a quick scout around of these rocks here. Actually, we might make a GPS marker for that, just in case we have to come back. We probably don't, but it's not as far as what we were before. I suppose we probably should have checked to see how much we actually picked up, because I think we drilled a whole bunch of that without actually taking it on board. So we'll chuck all the ice in the one container, so we'll get a better idea of how much we actually have. Well, that one's... So we've got nearly a full container of ice. Actually, we've got more than a full container of ice so far. Plus, we've probably got some in the smaller ones. Or not. No. But there, all our O2H2 gens have got some. They're not full, half full of ice. Just taking what they need. Got components randomly depositing themselves elsewhere. Hide the empties. We have a lot of silver now. So yeah, we're doing quite well. Alright. Okay, clean that up. Let's have a quick look. See what else is on these. There's another chunk of ice, we might strip that down and we'll just get moving again. So we don't have to worry about running out of fuel. Well, we may have to look at our electric usage, but... And yeah, make sure that we can balance that with whatever, but... You get the idea, hopefully. And we have a strong unknown signal 13,000 kilometers away. That would be in the vicinity of Fabricator 77, so he is most likely not going to be any kind of threat to us. So I think the next thing we'll do is, yeah, we'll get underway. We'll fly over to these rocks here, just aiming a little bit off of them. So that way, if we're probably not going to be paying enough attention, we're not going to smash into them. And we'll chuck on some extra O2H2 gens. So we'll kill our engines and add on a bunch more of the gas generators. Or... we still have to weld up those other gyros, I think. So I'll take this one off, this gyro here, and weld up the other ones with it. And I'll take that one off as well, and we'll just stick gas generators on there. So yeah, we'll chuck 4 more gas generators on like that. So and we had some other gyros placed that we were going to weld up. We should probably look at doing that because we are getting very, very heavy. It's getting a little bit difficult to turn again, which we expected. It's not a bad thing, it's just something that we have to do something about. Alright, finish welding that up. Yeah, there we go. Now, gas generators. There and there. I think I put those other ones on upside down. Oh well, doesn't matter. As long as they're properly connected and they work, we will be fine. Steel plate. Get rid of that. And 4 of them. Alright. Yep, they're working away, doing their thing. Grab some more. And the last one for this. Marvelous. We just try to Oh, there we go. We did have a couple more of these things to do before we got sidetracked. So quickly weld that up. There's at least one, and it is done. And we'll just check the other side. Yep, we did have another one to do. And get that one done. We'll have a little bit more control. Regas the suit. Jump back in the seat. And where are those rocks? Did we pass them? I think we may have done. Huh. Okay, where are we heading? Let's have a look at our camera. What's nearby? Oh, we've got a rock down there. Let's go to that one. See if there's something else interesting that we can pick up from it. Now, this one's in the general direction we want to go. So that's good news. And definitely might look at, or have a look and see if the other hydrogen thrusters are a little bit lower profile, because I think they are. These ones stick out a lot. I could be wrong, but yeah, if we can get something with a little bit of a lower profile. Hey, it looks like we've got something on there. Maybe it's just a light effect. And we've got a chunk of rocks down there and some over there as well. They're a little further away. But yeah, we've got to keep an eye on our fuel reserves. We've got one less tank, so we're at 23% of 15 million. So it's still a reasonable amount of fuel, but want to make sure that that's going up, not down. That looks like it's just a crater. But we'll go in a bit closer, use the ore detector. So if there is uranium below the surface, we will dig for it. Same with gold at the moment, because we don't have any at all. And we could really make traveling a lot easier with it. Yeah, we'll go to the effort for gold or uranium. Magnesium, not so much, because we're not likely to come across someone that we're going to have to shoot at. Yeah, I think that this rock's going to be a big bust. So let's go over to the other one. Where are they? Yep, just over there. We'll head over to them. If we can also pick up some iron, some silicon, if we can pick them up easily, and nickel, then what we'll do is we'll dump all our stone. Because yeah, we'll get stacks more out of the specific ores than we will out of the stone without picking up the gravel. And we're not going to need the gravel until we go to make the reactor components, which we can always just mine some stone specifically for it. We can find that literally everywhere. So that's not a huge concern. But yeah, if we can maximize the space that we're taking up, because we are quite heavy. Takes a lot to change directions at the moment. I think we'll just head straight towards that other rock there. If there's nothing here, we'll slow down a bit. Have a quick look and then scoot over to the next bunch of rocks. And it looks like nothing. Can't see anything pop out at me, which is unfortunate. And we have an unknown signal pop up. Nothing coming up on the ore. Oh, the ore detector needs to have its range increased because we moved it. So that could be causing a little bit of a glitch in our method. Why is the default half? But we still got nothing. Okay, so we'll burn over to this one. Still roughly heading in the general direction of other planets. Bertram's gradually getting smaller. Slowly. Now, I don't want to fly to Bertram on hydrogen. I want to jump to hydrogen. Or I don't want to fly to another planet on hydrogen. I want to jump there. So, the sooner we can find gold and platinum and uranium, the better. I'm regretting not picking up some of that gold when we found it before, but like when we found it on Pertram, even though we couldn't have really done much with it and we were a little bit pressed for space. I mean, ultimately, we're still in an okay spot now, but we just would have had some. And that looks like something. Probably not, but you never know. What do we got? Silicon and ice. Let's grab some silicon. And the ice. I suspect that the only other things we're going to find here will be silicon and ice as well. Whoa, big lag. Nope, I hit something. And we lost a refinery. We hit a voxel. And that was actually quite tragic because we've lost a lot of stuff. So let's see what we can grab up. We'll grab our ingots first. Oh, we don't want the gravel. Bleh. Can leave that out. Lost a good chunk of cobalt here. That's what I was saying about hitting the voxels. We were creeping along and we still got annihilated. We've done a lot of damage to our ship. That's not a good thing. But we want to chuck. We'll try and salvage as much of this stuff as we can. Try not to bump into it because it is slowly moving away from us. We don't necessarily need to pick up the scrap metal, but can't deposit. That must be full or broken. It's probably broken. Can't deposit. Okay, we're gonna have to look at repairs. We've lost 2 of our refineries. Oh, that's tragic. Where can we dump this stuff? That tank looks like it's empty. Yeah, this is yet another disaster that I didn't see coming. Probably should have. All of this scrap metal is just going to get passed through the refinery again. So it is a lot of iron, like by the look of things. Yeah, that container's damaged, so now we should be able to put stuff in there. This container's fine. Oh, what was that? More steel plate or scrap metal. We got bits floating everywhere. Crikey. Made a right mess. We'll go and pick up that cobalt. We're still going to leave that gravel because we don't want that. There's silicon. There's what's left. This little thing here is something that probably caused us significant grief. If we hit that, we stop. So yeah, it could have been just this tiny little thing here that damaged our ship to the extent that it is, or it could be what's left of whatever we hit. We would have had no chance to see that. But anyway, 'tis the nature of the game. Dump ore in here. Pick up the rest of that. Is there any more? Yeah, there is a bunch of debris around here. Just picking it up so we can recover some of the materials that have been smashed up. And I think that will do us for now. And yeah, we just got that little bit of gravel there, which we'll leave. Alright, so okay, that one's up and going. And that one's up and going. And we had a couple that were just sitting there. That refinery looks like it took a lot of damage. Oh, we got a big chunk of stone there. This container's broken. So we'll fix that container first so we can put stuff in it. Now, clear up our build planet first. Alright, now collect everything we need for the container. Yep, container's fixed. Now let's look at all the other broken stuff. That refinery's shot. Dump everything that we picked up. Pick up more parts. And that refinery's up and going again. So we'll grab the parts for these here that we never finished in the first place. Where we're going to have to grind down these bits, I suspect. Oh, that refinery's not going either. But yeah, anyway, we can weld these up. Now, even if we had have had the small or the light armor on here, we still would have come to grief. Why can't I put stuff in there? Are they the front ones? No. I think they're both broken as well. Yep. What a tragedy. Okay, that's up and going. Now we need to clear all the crap out of the way here. We can put stuff back in there, so that's all working good again. Got steel plate in the way, or scrap metal. Let's chuck that in there, that in there. Big chunk of stone. Okay. Now, all those speed modules, I don't think will reconnect, but we'll try it. So anyway, we'll try chucking in our refinery, see if it'll let us, and it's not going to. Probably because we need to get those speed modules out of the way. So we're going to have to grind these down because they're just floating in space, not properly attached. Which is unfortunate. But it's not the end of the world or the end of our game progression so far. Alright, now recharge the suit. Most of the disasters that we've had have been self-inflicted. Oh, nah, 50-50. We've had 2 crashes where we've taken damage now. Geez, we lost a chunk of the floor there. That was pretty full on. Anyway, got more crap floating around. Anyway, steel plate. Grab some plate. Get rid of that. Okay, refinery time. Now we can place our refinery. And I'm pretty sure that was the orientation we wanted it. Yep. So chuck the next one in there. And also we've still got a broken speed module there, so weld that thing up. Ooh, we're out of construction components. Okay, now that and that, and we want to add that fill planner. Okay, that's one with all the parts it needs. And yep, there we go, we got all the parts laid out. Just zip it up. And we have repaired most of the obvious damage other than some of the floor here that got annihilated. fixed our cargo containers. We haven't put our speed modules back on, but we'll just leave that for the time being. Let's have a look around and see if we can actually find the silicon and ice. Then we'll look at checking our battery situation. See if we're charging or we're running behind. Because if we are running at a power loss, yep, there's our silicon. We'll take a good chunk of that out, and we're coming in too fast. And I think we should probably check that we didn't damage something there. No, we're all still green. That was fortunate. But yeah, we'll chuck another couple of hydrogen engines on anyway, just for good measure. We're probably going to need several more. Yeah, we'll just scoop up a bunch of this and we'll go around to where the ice is, see if we can easily scoop up a bunch of that. If we can get to that easily, we may as well collect it whilst we're here, and then we'll just get to moving earthward again. And yeah, whilst we're travelling earthward, probably look at chucking on those hydrogen engines and get everything buttoned up for log out time. So yeah, hopefully we've got enough power coming through. Like by the time we chuck those other two engines on there. Not going to worry about the speed modules at the moment. We can chuck those back on later. The refineries will still keep processing in the meantime. Not as fast as what they could. But yeah, when we log off, depending on how long we're off for, I might start another stream up soon. Not sure. Just take a little bit of a break. I think that will do for that for now. This is a hazardous spot, so want to be a little bit cautious about zipping around this thing too quick. So don't want to have to go and do crazy repairs like what we just did. And we've lost a little ice detection marker thingy. Oh, there it is. Oh, why did I do that? We just took out a hydrogen thruster. That was really loopy. Definitely time to take a break, I suspect. We start doing dumb things like that. At least we didn't do any other damage. Yeah, not easily going to be able to find it, I don't think. Not without running a great risk of destroying something. So seem to be really doing that well at the moment. So yeah, I think I'm not going to bother trying to dig for that ice. I mean, it could be on the other side, but oh no, it's inside the hole. I'm not going in there. We won't get out. Okay, so we are instead going to move away we'll head towards that rock over there, I think. Although, yeah, we're running a little low on time. So I think, yeah, we'll just go towards that rock, see if we get there. But whilst we're heading over to it, see those things there, those little tiny pieces of rock, they would have been something like that ruined our day. Well, made our day a little bit more difficult than it was. So anyway, engines. We'll chuck a couple more on just anyway, because we will most likely need them. If we put them on like this, hang on, steel plate, we can't pull it out from the engine, annoyingly. I don't know why. I don't know if it's a feature or a bug. Chuck it on like that, so we can slap another one on next to it later if we want to. If we want to rearrange where we're going to make our access ways. So chuck 2 of those on, and all components on production, and we'll start welding up. Still need more. Now we got everything. This will be one more up. And we might want to chuck those other 2 on anyway, because we are probably gonna need them. And we'll move those, that wall there, we'll grind that down so we can walk around the engines. Or maybe even put a ramp up so we can walk over the top without getting ourselves lost. Probably seal up the floor, sort of, like, or place some blocks down for it, so the blocks get destroyed first prior to everything else getting completely destroyed. Don't need this here like this. It's just, and yeah, on the side of that one we'll just chuck another engine, possibly. Check the battery situation, see if the batteries are charging. Fully recharged in 4 hours. I don't know if that's, yeah, they do have a net positive charge going to them now, so we'll chuck on a couple more hydrogen engines, like what I was originally saying, because it seems like the smarter thing to do. If I can find the damn things. There we go, number 4. We want to make sure we get the port in the right spot, and we'll chuck 4 more on, so we'll chuck the other one on there like that. So there's a little bit of a snake of engines happening there, but so if we lose one of those, like, all the other ones down the line are going to end up stopping working, but hopefully we don't run into problems like that again. That'd be the goal. Or more of a sort of like a directive guideline is don't run into shit that's gonna ruin your day. But yeah, unfortunately can't guarantee that to avoid things that you can't see. And I just wasn't expecting it. And I think we're out of components for them. Probably chuck on a bunch of construction components. But yeah, like I said, getting close to the end of stream time. want to try and stay under 4 hours, so that way YouTube doesn't cut parts out. I will one day hopefully go through and edit all of these down into shorter sort of videos. That's sort of the plan, but the way I figured I'd do it is I dump the whole thing down as a live stream and record it at the same time. So that way, it gets started, gets the concept out there. It is a lot to watch, but I polish it up later on. But just get the general idea out there. But yeah, we'll have a quick look at this rock. Also, whilst we're here, let's have a look at the hydrogen tank. That one's full. That one's full. No, sorry, they're the engines. Where's the tanks? There we go, tank. Is it increasing? I don't know. Can't tell. I don't think so. So we might want to check that out as well. We may need to put more O2H2 generators on there. At the moment, we're just putting stacks of those down. I think we just went up to 24%. And you can see a little tiny rock. Okay, it's just spawned in. Looked like there was a little tiny rock there. A ship killer. Though that stone that asteroid directly ahead looks like it's entirely ice. Oh, there's another small, niggly one. We didn't break our detector, did we? I don't think so. Let's check out this one. This one looks like it might be ice. If it is, we'll park up here. We'll collect a shitload of ice. And, yeah, we'll log off for a little while. Let that process away. Yeah. And yeah, we might just stay here for a little while and like, it's turning grey from blue. How unfortunate. If that had been ice, would have been really, really, well, would have been marginally beneficial. The other thing that we need to do, actually we might check out that thruster situation that I was talking about before, changing from the large industrial thrusters to just the large vanilla thrusters, as if they have a little bit less of a profile, like they stick out less. That would be preferable. Like, aesthetics is cool, but at the same time, if there's going to be a functional advantage in some way, such as it takes up less space, I think I'd rather have that. So that way, like, you know, if they don't protrude as far out the bottom of the sides, we're not as likely to hit stuff with them. So we'll quickly check this rock and maybe check that one as well. But we will be parking up soon. We've got ice on this one. So let's see if it's a surface deposit. If it is, we'll scoop it up and park up. looks like it might not be. Unless I'm still not quite looking in the right... Oh, no, there we go. We found it. Okay, let's collect this up. Just try and make quick work of this. And I think we damaged something. Let's jump out and have a look. Something's on fire. Yep, one of our thrusters. Bumped into that. Alright. Just blast out some of this stone out of the way. And actually blast out some of this rock around here as well, because we hit that just before with our thruster. Just give ourselves a little bit of room. And we'll go in and we'll take out a bit more of the ice. We'll have another quick look at the front. See that our conveyor tubes are not damaged. Yeah, they are. I suspected because we weren't gaining any weight. There we go. So yeah, we're definitely going to have to look at a better drilling rig. Add a little bit of protection to the front of the ship. So also probably add some lights so we can see what we're doing when we're trying to drill into deposits. You can see a little bit better, only a little bit better. It's better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick though. We seem to be getting a little jammed up on other stuff. Yeah, all this stuff here. So we'll right click this stuff out of the way. And is right click going to work? There we go. Just give ourselves a little bit of clearance so we don't hit stuff. So all we really want out of this is the ice at the moment. So plunge into that. Like, we are going to pick up some stone as well, and we will process it. It's not a big deal. Well, we are lagging out something fierce. I don't know what's going on with that. And we've probably broken our conveyor tube again. Yup, same damn spot. That was because of that lag spike, I suspect. What an irritant. Okay. You just want to pick up the ice and then go for a sleep in our cryopod. Yeah, I think we're definitely going to chuck the drills on piston. So that way we can extend it out, and also if it's gonna like get destroyed, the piston head will take the damage rather than the conveyor tubes. So, and it's a little bit more robust than these conveyor tubes. So I think that will be the next thing, is improve the drill rig a little bit. Have it so it extends out a bit further as well, so we don't run the risk of smashing the engines. We'll swap the engines over with the smaller profile ones. Still got the same specs. You just take up less space. Physical space. And yeah, we're still collecting ice. We're up to 6 million kilos of gross vehicle mass. That's crazy. But yeah, okay, we've got a plan for what we're going to end up like, or what we're going to do next time is look at changing up those motors, adjust the drill rig, and a lot more of the same. We're gonna still head in the Earth-like direction. We're gonna do some upgrades. Haven't built a cockpit yet, but hang on, I'll turn off my engines. But yeah, we'll do some bits and pieces. But yeah, I think for the time being, like, we've done pretty well. We've made a lot of progress, like all up. Like, we got off-world in this stream, and we've started mining a significant amount of resources. We also had a pretty nasty incident with a very tiny piece of immovable space rock. Tore a big hole in the front of our ship and smashed up some parts, but didn't completely stop us. So yeah, okay, gonna log off now for a little while, so I will see you guys next time.